Alright guys, it is Tuesday, September 14th, 2021 at 10:47 p.m. Alright, let's start with a Bible verse from dailyverses.net. Bible verses about faith. It says, "Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours." Mark 11:24. Alright, let's start with Twitter. We have Senator Ron Paul saying, "I don't care about what you think about President Trump. The chairman of the CSOS working to subvert the military chain of command and collude with China is exactly what we do not accept from military leaders in our country. He should be court-martialed if true." Apparently, Milley secretly called Chinese officials out of fear Trump would attack. So, General Mark Milley called Chinese officials in fear that Trump would attack during his remaining time in the White House. Let's take a look here at the article. It says, "Treason if true. Trump lashes out at General Milley over claims of China dealings behind the president's back." It says President Trump has responded to claims that Milley had a back channel with his Chinese counterparts and would warn them of any impending attacks. If the story of dumbass General Milley is true, then I assume he would be tried for treason, and that he would have been dealing with his Chinese counterpart behind the president's back and telling China that he would be giving them notification of an attack, wrote Trump in a statement. That said, Trump also said that the good news is if the story is fake news concocted by a weak and ineffective general together with two authors who I refuse to give an interview to because they write fiction, not fact. Action should be taken immediately against Milley, and better generals in our military, of which we have many, should get involved so that another Afghanistan disaster never happens again." So if it is true that General Milley went behind Trump's back and was giving China information of if a possible attack happened, that is indeed treason. Alright, let's take a look also at this article. China or Chinese warships approach Alaska as U.S. Navy increases presence in South China Sea. The U.S. Coast Guard revealed a significant incident involving Chinese military vessels coming near American waters off of Alaska. While the incident was first divulged to the public on Monday, it actually happened at the end of August. No less than 4 people of the Liberation Army Navy ships were spotted and shadowed by U.S. vessels off Alaska's Aleutian Islands, included a guided missile destroyer and guided missile cruiser, as well as an intelligence gathering vessel and auxiliary ship. They stated They stayed in international waters, but came within the United States exclusive economic zone. So we've got, on one hand, somebody giving information to the Chinese behind the president's back, and then on the other hand, we have Chinese ships coming close to Alaska. Alright, it says during the deployment, Bertholf and Kimball observed 4 ships from the People's Liberation Army operating as close as 46 miles off the Aleutian Islands coast, this Coast Guard statement said. While the ships were within U.S. exclusive economic zone, they followed international laws and norms and at no point entered U.S. territorial waters. The statement said further the Chinese vessel conducted military and surveillance operations during the deployment to the Bering Sea and North Pacific Ocean. The U.S. Coast Guard source said later cited the media reporting confirming that Chinese ships were present in the U.S. Exclusive economic zone, which extends far off the Alaskan coast from August 29th to September 1st. Despite at one point coming to within 46 miles of U.S. islands off Alaska, the Chinese Naval Task Force stayed within international waters, though they were firmly within the U.S. EEZ, which extends about 230 miles off of the Alaskan coast. So they were right there off Alaska. And I don't know how long I've been hearing stories of the possibility of Chinese troops in Canada. I don't know how accurate that is at all, if that is true at all. But these guys being as close to, the coast and everything isn't something that is rare because here we go. 4 South American countries prepare to challenge Chinese fishing abuses. So apparently, there's been more than 300 Chinese ships, ships in South America. It says a fleet of more than 300 mostly Chinese flagged fishing ships that caused consternation among the governments of Ecuador and Peru this summer when it spotted fishing around their respectively exclusive economic zones has continued to fish in the Pacific Ocean around South America, and affected countries are coordinating actions to stop it. The fleet was spotted by Ecuadorian maritime officials by mid-July and was arrived outside of the Galapagos Marine Reserve in international waters near Ecuador, an exclusive economic zone. The fleet was subsequently accused of shutting off its GPS trackers, guys. So they were basically able to fish illegally in protected waters without being detected. They shut off their GPS and then they just fished whatever they wanted and got whatever they wanted and left. So these Chinese fishing fleets have been seen around southward in Peru and Chilean waters. So they're around. Now they're reporting them off Alaska, so they're around. They have been around, and who knows what else fishing ships could carry. They could carry secretive missiles or whatever in their ships, and we wouldn't even know they're carrying it. So quite a red flag for the waters off of all of America, because if it's in South America and they turn off their GPS signals and they can go wherever, what's saying that they wouldn't turn off their signals if their GPS signals if they come closer to the United States? So that's a big red flag right there. All right, I'll leave the link to all these articles so you guys can check them out. Alright, let's go to the next story. A B-2 stealth bomber damaged during emergency landing at Whiteman Air Force Base. A U.S. Air Force stealth bomber was damaged on Tuesday after an emergency landing at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. There has been an incident. It says details are limited, but the war zone received a statement from Air Force Global Strike Command about the incident that unfolded at 0:30 local time in Whiteman Air Force Base. It says there has been an incident at Whiteman Air Force Base. It occurred at approximately 12:30 a.m. on September 14th. The U.S. Air Force B-2 Spirit experienced a in-flight malfunction during a routine training mission and was damaged on the runway at Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri, after an emergency landing. There were no personal injuries and no fire associated with the landing. The incident is under investigation and more information will be provided as it becomes available. A notice to airmen, or NODAM, was filed around Whiteman Air Force Base located near Knob, Noster, Missouri to provide a safe environment for accident investigations. This base is the home of the B-2 stealth bomber and the 509th Bomb Wing. Alright guys, I'll leave an article link so you guys can check it out. It says no damage or reports have been released of the stealth bomber was carrying a payload. The war zone said there was no fire and the pilots were unharmed. Northrop Grumman only built 21 of these heavy strategic stealth bombers. One was lost in Guam in 2008, and possibly another has been damaged early Tuesday morning. So these guys, that's thank goodness that no serious injury happened. But those guys carry warheads, nuclear warheads, so it's quite dangerous. Alright, next. Massachusetts activates National Guard to bus school children after the vax mandate staffing shortages. As is amid fresh national, state, and local vaccine mandates being driven forward by the Biden administration, school and public services have clearly been most immediately hit by personnel shortages as a large chunk of the population remains vaccine hesitant or refuses to be forced into a mandated COVID vaccine, or perhaps they are also already immune through a prior infection. Other staff are said to fear catching coronavirus from largely unvaccinated student population. States like Massachusetts are now struggling with public school staffing shortages to the point that children literally can no longer take the bus to school and there aren't enough drivers. The large school district of Boston, for example, admitted at the start of the school year that the vaccine requirement will inevitably result in drivers staying home. The city leaders said part of the reason for the shortage in Boston is that some drivers are not vaccinated, which is a requirement. So now the state is having to take drastic action and even greater intervention in the crisis, with Republican Governor Charlie Baker on Monday activating the Massachusetts National Guard in order to get the school transportation up and running. Alright guys, so these guys are having to resort to National Guard guys driving the school children around. Who knows what else is going to come from these mandates. Alright guys, I'll leave a link to all these articles, and stay aware when it comes to news about China and Russia. You never know what could pop up, and there's so many people who are having dreams that there's Chinese and Russian people are going to be attacking the United States or invading. So please stay aware when it comes to that kind of news. Alright guys, see you guys next time. Hit like and subscribe for more news. God bless you guys.